Hello everybody. Welcome to another in our APPI series of Learn by Doing. Today is going to be another focus on feedback because we have in fact another prediction that was actualized. We have the outcome. It turns out this was actually a miss. And so the attitude towards that and how you treat it will be very important. It is probably the most challenging part of what we do in ARV for most people. And I really believe I've had some insights during my vacation, which I'd like to share with you, which I think will actually be able to improve the ARV success that you have and get more enjoyment out of the precog journey. It all starts, and when I say all, I mean ARV, with this statement, which is just so important, and that is that precognition begins with the feedback session. We've all been around long enough now. You wouldn't be here if you in fact didn't already know that retrocausality, precognition is real, that the future indeed can influence your remote viewing session. Well, that's just what's happening. It is the feedback session when you have the truth that you get the information which then goes back in time to your remote viewing session. With that insight and just really getting it, taking it in deeper and deeper, and it's amazing how long it takes. In fact, I think it goes on forever. That's led to some new insights which I'll be sharing with you today. So, precognition indeed begins with the feedback session. I underlined it. It's like the foundation of your remote viewing session, another way of looking at it. Here's what we're going to be doing. We have the outcomes for the RV sessions indicated here. I think some of you indeed were participating in that. But if you're not, just as well, it does not matter because we're going to be talking about it and doing examples with that. The question that was associated with those coordinates, and notice there are two here. We're now at the point where in these classes we're only doing one, but this was very early on and I was demonstrating doing two coordinates. So the question was, will either Kentucky or UCLA be the NCCA men's national champion? Now the prediction was yes, the outcome was no. They didn't even get into the Final Four. Okay, but from the perspective of what we're doing, we of course will be doing feedback on the photos associated with no, since that's the one thing you can always count on in ARV. You will see the feedback associated with what actually happens, and that's of course what allows us to make our predictions and do wise wagering. Today we'll also be doing one prediction for an outcome of month or more, the one RV session, one judging session, and of course we won't get the feedback until it's actualized, which will be a month from now. But we will be doing, and this is oh so valuable, discussions on the RV and judging sessions, which you all will hopefully attach to an email and send to me. So, ARV has in linear time a remote viewing session, an analysis judging session, and that's actually where, based on the analysis, you make judgments about your prediction and your wagering. And then it has the feedback session. Now this analysis judging session is the source of so much trouble. Bottom line insight is When you do it the best you can, be non-emotional, and then ignore it. It's got nothing to do with your remote viewing session and your feedback session. Precognition begins with the feedback session. It's entangled to the remote viewing session, period. And we're about to do some of that, but part of the new insight is don't be thinking about what happened earlier. Don't be thinking about these stupid words. Notice now we're in an intellectual mode. We're talking about this. But during your RV session, during your feedback session, we used to spend so much time thinking about bleed through, displacement. You know, that's stuff which I think now is the best way is simply to ignore it. You finesse that by paying no attention to it during your feedback session. And that's where it all begins. And by forgetting about all this other crap, anything like the negative stuff which might have happened earlier and all that kind of stuff, less of it will occur. Okay, precognition begins with the feedback session. Have you heard me say that enough? Just don't get that intellectually. I mean, you kind of know it, right? That's the truth point. And you want to let your subconscious know that you know it. And that you're making that very important, that reality. The cue we all know is describe and or sketch your and then coordinate feedback target. Hey, that's what you're tasked to do. Describe and sketch what happens here. So the entanglement is rather clear. What is the target? Feedback photo site. Do you know how many images you see between here and here, even if that happens within a day? Thousands, probably millions of images go through your retinas, etc., etc. But the only one that matters, and the marvelous thing about human consciousness is we get to direct our focus. And the focus here is on the feedback target when you're doing your remote viewing session. Okay, so let's do it. How do we get our feedback target? This is a copy of the feedback typical email, which you will be getting. You know, there's probably some newbies here. And it starts with a remote viewing session, but it ends with a feedback email just like this. And then all you do is click on this link and put in your name. So let me go find that. I think I put it here. Okay, so here's the email. You can see it's talking about Kentucky UCLA. Here is the link to click. So let's do it. Okay, and then I am the person who represents each of you during these classes, so I put in my name, and there you go. So, and in terms of the newbies, this is exactly what you will see for your feedback target. You have the specific coordinate associated with that prediction that you did, 394422 in this case, and here is the feedback target. Now, let's see how we go about doing this. Okay, so we're about to do it. You got the transcript. Now you need to, and this is where you're now going to put on a feedback mindset. It's different than the intellectual one that we're doing now, and I'd like all of you to do it. And I actually, I don't know if I can actually wear this hat with my mic, but I want you to know that it is just so important. Let me see what this looks like. I can't see my, I can't see myself here, but I probably look very silly. I'm going to take the hat off, but I hope I've made the point. You're now going to go into a feedback mindset. This is a brand new session. Get yourself quiet. Might even be putting on HemiSync or something like that. And what do you have in front of you? Well, obviously you would bring your transcript, the transcript for 394422, and you'll have that page in front of you, which I've just copied the picture of here. And here's your transcript. Now, this happens to be from John. I don't know if John is here. He is not. He tends to come in to do the prediction. But this is a typical transcript, you know, where it's got some sketches. He tends to do a lot of words. And what do? Well, you probably cannot help remembering that this was not, okay, so John remembers that this was really not what he predicted. Okay, but he's going to kind of ignore that. Notice he's got his B here of a 5, which on the 0 to 7 target scale was pretty high. But, okay, so what? What you do now is simply get into this and look for all the positive things you can find and do it. Really get into it. We're looking at this picture. We see the food, we see the tastes, and let's see what we said here. Oh, one of the first things I'm noticing is puffy. Well, maybe a little puffiness here. The reason I'm doing that is to just look at this picture in more detail. Notice he has multiple subjects. Well, I would say there's clearly multiple subjects here. Right, look at that. There's a wonderful subject of the cone. You've got all of these little, I don't know, in the culinary world what they'd be called, little drops of probably strawberry. You've got the strawberry. Wonderful multiple subject. Oh, notice he didn't even mark that for whatever reason. He may think subjects are people, but maybe this is opening him up to the fact that the communication channel uses subjects in a somewhat broader way. It certainly did here. Look at that. That's really got a lot of subjects. He sees a group. Well, I see a group of subjects, don't you? There are multiple subjects here grouped rather nicely. So, gee, he actually did better than he thought. This is what would be called photosite A. Photosite A always comes up first. He only gave it a 2. I'm looking at it now, and boy, not so bad. Okay, metal. Well, I don't see any metal there, but what is it? Notice I've taken a word, and okay, so it wasn't there. I don't care. But in terms of the material structure, what is it? I'm now focusing on the fact, what is that? Is that probably ceramic? It looks like a regular plate. I don't know what plates are made of, but it's certainly a hard thing. Very roundish is certainly the geometry of it. I don't know what the material that the plate is on, so that's sort of unknown. Hey, maybe it's metal, but certainly the plate isn't. I'm giving attention to what is in the target. Anytime I go away from that, by looking at my transcript, I go back to the target. Playful. Huh. Well, this looks playful to me. He actually marked it for the other. Doesn't matter. I would call that very playful. Doesn't that look playful to you? It's easy to get into the playfulness of that. Look how wonderfully laid it out in a very sort of interesting fashion. Hey, I can almost see a smile. Outdoor, frankly, I don't know. Probably it was indoor. Let me just take care of that. And okay, so I'll probably just simply ignore that. I don't really have a strong feeling of indoor either, so I'm not going to send that to my consciousness. Now let's look at this shape. Now this shape, with a little, not too much effort, it may be the bottom, though this isn't quite sharp enough, but how about this being here? Interesting. Or inverted, we know that orientation doesn't come in all that much here. Notice I'm focusing on this picture, picking up this shape. Hey, I would have been happier had I done something like that. Hey, subconscious, next time, why don't you do that? Why don't you give me something a little different? Hey, you know what? I think I'm going to start a new sheet of paper, and I'm going to put some stuff on it that I wish I had done. Why don't I do that now? In fact, why don't each of you take a piece of paper right now and do a feedback session for this? You know, I've given you some of the words. Let's open up a new, get a new sheet of paper, and there's a way here. I can use a highlighter. Okay, and maybe on that sheet of paper, put the shape that you wish you had done and say, hey, sub, wouldn't that have been a nice shape to put there? Okay, what I've responded to is the shape that was here, and yeah, I can see it's close, but this would be a little bit better. Okay, I'm focusing on this picture. I'm really getting into it. I'm communicating back with my remote viewing session, and this is what started that off. So I'm entangling the transcript and making even a better one for the future, where my subconscious is going to know what I'm intending to do here is improve the communication channel. Okay, I was able to get this much of the shape. Hey, I got playful. That was really kind of cool. Multiple subjects. Put those there. But gee, it doesn't look like I got one of the key things that was here, which was round. Well, I don't know why I didn't get round. You might write round on your sheet of paper, because look at all the rounds that are here. Multiple rounds. I did get multiple, interesting enough. Multiple rounds here. Look at them all. Multiple subjects going on here. Okay. Smells, food. Yeah. Hey, that was terrific. It's not popcorn, but nevertheless, the fact that there was food, thank you, Sub, for giving me that. You know, let's take a moment here and really get into what the tastes of this might be. Oh, rather yummy, for one thing. You know, the word yummy would be a good one to put on a sheet of paper right now, I would think. What is this? Vanilla ice cream? That tastes pretty good. And of course, I'm actually remembering last time I had vanilla ice cream. Not bad, not bad. And strawberry. Can you taste that strawberry? And this sweet, sweet. Some pretty good words you can put down there. And what about the color? The color red. Got a lot of other colors. Certainly got white. Yeah. And but I didn't get red. Well, next time, Sub, I'm looking at that red color, and I'm just letting you know this is what red looks like. Okay, right here. That's red. This is red. Right. Motion, activity. Oh, wow, I didn't seem to get that this time. But you know what, Sub? What I'm going to send you is stillness. Quiet. To me, this looks like a quiet scene, a still scene. I'm going to send that to you now. I'm going to write maybe stillness on another piece of paper. Okay, you got that, Sub? Yeah, this communication channel, by doing this, I know we're increasing our ability to communicate both ways, both ways. So I'm starting with the feedback session, and the remote viewing session, you're going to be giving me stuff back like this in the future. I know it's not going to change what happened in the past, but you know what? This is my approach for the future. Okay, action. Gee, there was a lot of action here, but we see stillness. All we see is stillness. I'm sending stillness back. Quiet stillness now. Yeah. Okay. What else? What else might I have liked to have done? Oh, look at this. I do see blue. Oh yeah, here's blue. I don't know what the shape of this stuff is, but maybe I can even do something like that. Huh? Okay. Thank you. That's enough. Maybe.
Marty?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What about the graduated shapes? You're graduating from small to large in that curve, so not the curve, but the graduated shapes.
That's good. Put that down, that you see this going from here to here. Maybe you'd put the word growing, graduated, something like that. In fact, any others? You know, I just gave you kind of what I saw. What do any of you see other things? Because this becomes very personal. It's going to be your vocabulary that's going to be used here. So yeah, give me other things. In fact, I appreciate that. Thank you for doing that.
Frozen, melting, sour.
Yeah, you see, we all see different things. Send back that. You're right. Look at the melting going on right here. Anything else? Okay, but this is the time. You notice it. Notice, you know, one of the key things we always talk about is attention, right? It's intention, attention, expectation. You are now paying attention with your consciousness with the intention and expectation of sharing it at remote viewing time. You're doing a really good feedback session because of that. You've got positive intention, attention, and expectation. This is how you do a feedback session.
Marty, this is Jonathan. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, thank you. Just wanted to make a case for activity in this picture rather than stillness. If you look at it from a lines perspective, there's some strong diagonals in this, like going from the drops of maybe strawberry or chocolate, whatever it is, going from the small dot to the big dot. There's a very strong diagonal there.
Okay.
The colors are also really vibrant, and so that gives a sense of motion to an extent in terms of the actual food that's on the plate. So just a thought on that.
And you see, and that's beautiful, because what you've just done is made the point of a personal communication channel. It's a personal vocabulary, with vocabulary being in quotes. You know, what I sent back, and I was literally doing this as I was talking. I was sending back the sense I have of stillness. What you just said is you just, to your subconscious, right? You're communicating with your subconscious. You sent back that activity to me includes things like the vibrancy in this picture. And that'll come up for you in other pictures. I mean, this is so personal. And what you did was beautiful. Thank you, because you just, I think, increased the communication channel that's personal to you for your subconscious. Other comments, questions? Okay, let's go on. Notice this was one coordinate. It turned out this was the second one, and we didn't have time to do any others because we had two. So, so this is just what you did. Now let's go on to the other coordinate. Okay, so what I do recommend, and if in fact, let's do it since I have this. So I'm going to say, okay, so to finish off this one, You now say, we did a group feedback session and people added personal entanglements between their transcripts and the target. 394422. Okay, the next thing that happens, you now submit it. Remember, everything gets saved for your future learning purposes. Now this basically says we're going to wait a minute or so until the next one comes up. So we don't have to do that now, but when you do your feedback session, you now sort of clear your mind out of the other stuff because that's totally irrelevant for the next feedback session that we're about to do, and we'll do that now. Okay, so again, you know, get a little quiet. You're now about to begin a new session. You're going to go get your new transcript for 617089. Okay, here's an example. We now start doing the same thing. First thing I look at is sort of simultaneously, everybody will do this a little different, but oh yeah, I remember seeing this one. You'd say, and oh yeah, oh boy, this sure has a lot of activity in it. And look at those vibrant colors. Yellow, blue, all of that. Okay, let's look at the transcript and see what I did here. I got rounded shape, smooth like a bowl. Okay. Now, I'm just going to tell you one of the other things you learn, and this person, oh, this is you, Robert, right? This is terrific. You're here. No, you're not. Yeah, Richard, okay. But notice I know the A here, and you will probably remember. It's not like you're going to forget everything. Stuff is going to come up. It's what do you do with it. The other picture which we saw was A, and it was rounded. Notice it's marked with an A. I'm looking at this now and saying, okay, maybe I can understand how I did this. Since it came into my consciousness, I'm going to deal with it. But I'm also going to say, wow, this is on an ice rink. Guess what shape an ice rink is? It's round, right? Oh boy, I really did good here. My sub transmitted that to me. It was another part of me that did the judging. I might have even been an independent judge, but it doesn't matter now. I'm in my feedback session, and my gosh, look how well the subconscious did. It's very clear. You know, photo sites are what are in the picture and what can be easily inferred from the picture. So it could be easily inferred that this is a round-like shape. Certainly there's movement. Wow, very nice, very nice. Wow, I'm looking at this now, and most of you have probably been to ice skating rinks of one sort or another, and this looks almost exactly like the stuff that gets on the ice rink to smooth it out. Oh my gosh, look at that. Oh, sub, we're really doing cool here. Thank you for giving me that stuff. That's great. I don't know what flap flap is. Smells. Do I have any smells? Let's see. What does ice smell like? I'm trying to smell ice. Doesn't have much of a smell. I'm getting a sense of water. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I got water here, but you know, on my separate sheet of paper or even on another part of this paper, I might put water. That's what I got. You know, I didn't get ice. I happen to get water. I'm doing this in real time for you folks. Okay, how I would imagine doing a really good feedback session. So let's just see what else we got. Oh, look at all of this circle stuff and movement. Oh my gosh. Wow. I really did a good job. This almost looks like, oh, and look at this. Look at this. Clearly the sub was going around here. Oh my, that is wonderful. Wonderful. A lot of energy. A lot of energy. Mark that up. Man-made, sure. Mechanical, sure. Movement, sure. My God, this looks like it should be a 6, a 5. Certainly pretty darn good. Didn't get people, but I'm feeling like this was really a wonderful one here. Spiraling around. Wow. Clockwise. Hey, is that clockwise? That's counterclockwise. But one of the things we know is, and my subconscious, that's okay. I know sometimes you invert things. I know my eye system is very complicated. It'd be nice if you could go set counterclockwise, but I'm very happy that you even gave that fact that there's a direction. There's a clear direction. It's not a straight line. It's a spiraling line. And it's bright. This is very bright. Wow. Okay. Okay. I have 2 more, so I might even spend more time on this if this was the single feedback session, but I think we can go on. I think in terms of sketches on the sheet, I'd draw straight lines, right? I'd write blue, gold, and that sort of thing. And if you have other things you want to add, please do. But I can go to the next one and we can see what someone else's sub did on this, right? But we're still doing the same feedback. We're doing 617089. But now let's do it with respect to this transcript. Okay, so this is somebody else now. So I'm going to try to get into this person's mindset. And I'm looking at this. Undulating. Oh, and you can see the person wrote on the, I seem to have lost my ability to move here. Wait. I lost my mouse. To keep your ink. Oh, I see. Let me discard. I think that's what happened is, that's that. Where, okay, let's see if, wow, I've lost my mouse, folks. That's not a good thing. Well, let me see if I can do this with point and click. Okay, I'm using my touch screen now. I'll see if I can get through this with that. Okay, so let's continue with this one. So I'm seeing undulating. See what I'm not able to do without a mouse. Oh, how can I have lost my mouse? That has never happened before. I obviously apologize, but I do not know what to do about it. Oh my God, I've lost the light on the bottom. So it's a battery. Wait, let me just see if by any chance I have a battery in my... Oh, that's ridiculous. You know what? I'm going to put something on you all here. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to get a battery, and what you say will be recorded, so this will be good for other people looking at this, but let me get it to the right place, which was here. And if I touch here, okay, so turn on your mics and talk. I'm going to go get a battery, which should enable me to get my mouse back. And so you do a feedback session as if you were this person, okay? and I'll be back as soon as I can.
Anybody out there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm
You know
here.
what
On
I
the
saw it was like a sunset over the ocean is what it seemed like to me.
Wow, that's a good idea. It is. I was going to say that other transcript he said flap, and I don't know if you've ever watched these guys do that. That arm flaps back and forth as they go.
Yeah,
You know,
they
their
do.
arm, to me, it's flapping back and forth. So I think that other guy had that as a, you know, it wasn't marked, but yeah, it does look like a sunset or a sunrise, either
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
with the blue sky above. So absolutely, that would be something your mind could pick up on. And that red skate, you know, it's a little cut off, so I can't see the back, you know, his other leg, but or her, whoever it is, a his or a her. But that bright red skate would be something that one would think might stand out in your mind too, because it's against white and it's, you know, it's so different from what else is on the picture. Because there's lots of blue there and there's lots of yellow there, but that's just that one spot of red plus the little bit on the back.
And actually,
Anybody else?
energy of the PS feels flat. And everything is pretty flat. There's not a lot of dimension to the picture at all.
To me, my overall impression is that it looks like a flag, some
Yeah.
national flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I thought flat also. The dimensions seem very flat.
That was a good hit.
And I have no clue what I'm doing. It's brand new.
Well, it's flat, but there's motion too, because that person is definitely moving to the left. So a person could put motion as well.
And
And
stripes.
get it right. Strikes? You mean of the feet?
No,
Striking
stripe.
the ice?
Like
Oh,
lines.
stripes. Stripes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, that's true. Stripes.
The temperature would be cold, freezing,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
peaceful, competitive, striving, reaching, gliding, smooth.
Gliding would be good.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Multicolored. I'm not sure if this is from like a competition, like in the Olympics.
Or a practice.
Yeah, or you can have like an Olympic flag there.
Determination.
Yeah. Discipline.
Okay. God, I don't want to stop you guys. You guys are on a roll.
Actually, Marty, I'll have a quick word with you. The picture, is it an actual real picture, that one?
As far as yeah. I mean, yeah.
The actual person.
An actual person, speed skater, zooms around a track February 10th during the women's 3,000 meter competition. Yeah.
So it just looks so.
Well, you're saying it looks almost made up or marked, but I would take it as
made up, but it's
yeah.
Clip art.
I would take it as real. Okay, so did you guys, you know what took me so long? Getting the darn batteries out of the case. I hate that they make it so hard to do. Anyway, I'm sure you focused on the round again and the energy. So
yeah, I figured out how to get that the go-to-meeting thing out of the way so I can see the whole picture now. I was mentioning the red skates, that would be kind of, since red is, everything else is yellow and blue, that the color red should be something that maybe would jump out too.
Yep, I would definitely put red on red, blue, yellow, colorful, all those kind of things on the on your feedback sheet that you would do, you know, in addition to your target. And some people add it to the transcript, but a lot of people do it on a separate sheet of paper. Some people even print out the picture, and then they can do, you know, the kind of yellow stuff that I've been doing here on the picture itself. You want to make a big deal of it. That's the whole point. Yeah, and they had red here. But you always do this additional, gee, I wish I had done, and I always like to use the word using your remote viewing senses. You know, it's not like you want to trace it exactly unless you're that good in your remote viewing, but what you want to do is just get the way you interact with your communication channel and grow it a little bit, add just a little bit. Gee, I wish you had also given me, and then do what you can. Certainly I don't see any indication of a person here. So the word person, a lot of people use a symbol like that for a person, but you need to build up kind of that idea, get a sense like right now of a being there, a human being, a living entity, okay? Yes, and it's got motion. See, I'm doing it with my sub right now. Yes, there's motion there, but it's alive, and oh, it's human. It's got the human characteristics. It's a human being. Yeah. Oh, and it's got metal. Look at the metal, right? Metal on sharp metal. Yeah, I've got the sense of sharpness. And this is when you work the communication channel. Okay, let's do, and I think this is the last one I have. I just sort of played a game here. You can see what I've done to try to, again, emphasize it. Everything we're doing here is to emphasize, pay attention to this feedback target with this coordinate. You know, I have not emphasized that, but when we do remote viewing sessions, I'm going to ask you to say this coordinate out loud. Okay, 617089. You know, most of you didn't do it, so that's probably why I forgot to do it. But when you do your remote viewing session, you say it out loud, and now you would say it out loud again. That is kind of acts like a beacon. It indicates to your sub, yes, it's this specific coordinate. And it's not like you memorize it. The sound of it is what gets communicated. And then you write over it again on your transcript. You know, I would recommend resketching it, rewriting over it right here, because the motion of your hand is the kind of thing that will get communicated to the subconscious. It's very kinesthetic. You know, it's your body. That's how it's communicating up with you through your nervous system. Well, that's how you communicate back down. Okay, so let's now look at this one. This happens to be a 2-pager.
Marty, can I ask, can you speak a little bit more about what a beacon is?
Yeah, the beacon is the idea that of all the images that you see between the remote viewing time and the feedback time that you see in your life, how is it that we can focus on this specific one? You know, we've seen so many times people get these remarkably good hits. In fact, we saw one earlier. You know, how was so much of that information accurate? And the mind has the ability with little triggers to bring in all that information. Hey, what did you have for breakfast today? Somehow all the memory associated with that question comes in. The word breakfast today was a kind of a beacon because it brings you the information that you're asking for. A lighthouse is a beacon to get you to the safe opening of a harbor, right? That's the kind of beacon. So this coordinate is a beacon associated with this feedback target. That's the whole purpose of the coordinate. So the coordinates itself is a beacon attached directly to this feedback target. Now on occasion, I've actually asked people to make their own physical beacon. You know, you can even get a cookie and take a bite of the cookie when you do your remote viewing session, knowing you're going to take another bite when you do your feedback session. So there are little tools to get you to the right feedback target. Okay? So that's what I mean by beacon. And having said those words and you having that intention makes the beacon even stronger. So let's look at this one. And so we know what the picture is. Let me go back so we can see this part of it too. And let's see what we have here. We have flowing smoothly. Oh, that's certainly a good fit. And we are in the B picture, so that match. Like winding. I think that says lake.
I said a lake,
Yeah.
Aquarius.
Okay, now lake. I don't see a lake here, but I do have a sense of ice and water. That's interesting, Sub. You have given me from ice, aqueous, water. Thank you. That's not too bad. And of course, there's water in a lake, so maybe that's why you made that connection. Winding road, well, a little bit like the circle, but next time it'd be even better if, you know, you would say circle-like or give me to draw a circle. Oh, hey, look, you did a little bit of that there. There's something like a circle. Thick edges. Oh, well, edges, certainly my blade has a lot of edges. What I don't want to do is remember why I did this in the first place. In other words, like during the judging, this was marked as an A. I don't want to remember why that was marked as an A. I'm in my feedback session for 617089. I want to focus on this feedback target. Ignore all the other things. Ignore the reasons I might have put information down. Who knows why? You know, this again, and I'm only going to say it quickly, is why people say bleed through and stuff like that. Oh, that's you don't know why you got it. Your subconscious might have done bleed through, and it might have done it on purpose for its own reasons. It might have done it on purpose to teach you to not do it next time, to stay more focused on the feedback target. We don't know. That's kind of the insight. What's going on is so complicated that trying to intellectually figure it out is a waste of time. Now, that doesn't mean on your non-feedback time, on your non-remote viewing time, hey, if you want to intellectually go after it, do it. Not during your feedback session. Not during your remote viewing session. Now what you do is you look at this and you say, well, I don't really see that kind of geometry. I certainly see a lot of straight lines, there are plenty of straight lines here. Oh, the word edges is pretty good. Yeah, edges focus me on the fact that, boy, look at the sharp edges that are going on here. And they are indeed very pronounced, and there are multiple, okay? At least two counts as multiple. So while the sketch may not be anything I can relate to here directly, and that's why I'm putting what I would like the geometry to be, including I can even do a little geometry of the person, okay, person. But it certainly is pronounced. Okay, and again, I don't know, massive, well, this whole thing is massive. Again, I don't see this shape unless that was a misreading of that. So I'll ignore that, and I'll put what I believe, and that'll just force me, not force me, but prompt me to put down the correct shape, because this is what I wanted my sub to do. And your sub's going to know that's what you're going to do next time, and it's going to put it down during the remote viewing session next time from the feedback session.
There's also an AOL of a helmet
Oh, where was that?
on top of the jagged mountain. First page.
I see metallic. Is it above there? Hard. Oh, helmet over there. Yep, yep. Oh, wow, look at that. I got a helmet. That is cool. And that's a pretty high-level word. Oh, that is really cool. Okay. And maybe I could have even drawn, you know, a head or something. Helmet. That is really good. Let me now look at page 2.
Marty,
Uh-huh.
I think that, I don't know whether you actually said that, but the one to the left side of the helmet, that one that's kind of bent over there, kind of, and you've got a round circle around it.
Mm-hmm.
That looks almost like the body does when it's bent over and skating. I mean, that's almost a profile of the person's body, if from the butt and the
Yeah,
and the
okay.
torso and the legs. So actually that's a profile of the person while they're skating. They're not, you know, they're in, because while you're skating, you're actually in that same motion. You go up and down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, subconscious. Thank you for doing that. That's what you're trying to tell me. Thank you, thank you. Next time, maybe you can make it a little clearer. But good job. You know, we're working together. We're learning. Thank you. Okay, multiple sides. Well, I think that fits here. It's cut, Is that like the ice skating? I'm cutting through the ice here with my skates. This is sort of like the ring. A little rounder would have been a bit better, sub. Thank you, but trying. Repeating patterns. Yeah, well, I see certainly the rectangular pattern is repeating over and over again. Yeah, thank you. Standing, tall. Well, you've got a person. Oh, no, that's you looking up at something tall. But maybe you were actually trying to refer to this person, even though you misinterpreted it. Anyway, sub, what I really would like, a little sketch like that coming to me from you would be great as a person. That would be terrific, you know. So that's cool. Standing, yeah, standing's good. Yeah, he's moving, and indications of motion would have been great. So, you know, I'm going to write motion on my sheet of paper. But thank you, sub. This is really doing a good job here.
There's an AOL of a person on an obstacle course.
Right here. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and that, right. So we got the person. Oh, you did really well here. You always do well. This is what you gave me, and thank you for that. And, you know, I indicated a few other things that I'm now sharing that I wish you would give me next time in a similar situation. Okay. Irregular shapes, I mean, that's general enough that this person certainly has irregular shapes, so that's what you meant. And maybe with that, here, I'm going to draw it a little more. It would be better if you could have done that, but I'm very happy with what you gave me. So that's really the attitude. The feedback target, the feedback session is probably the most important session of all. Did you sort of get a sense of that? If precognition begins there, give it a good start, you know? Get off on your ice rink, you know, when the gun goes off right away. Get a good start. And the feedback session is that start. Does that make sense? Tell me, does that make sense? Are you getting it both intellectually and down in your gut? That's my intention, to really get into the feedback target. Okay. I'm back into the intellectual now. You know, we actually mixed maybe a little bit too much of that in what we did, but I think you got my point. One of the things which we spend way too much time doing is making excuses in one form or another, or explanations in one form or another. And again, even the word bleed through, the word displacement, I look at as excuses, because if you were doing the kind of job at remote viewing and doing your tasking, hey, you might randomly get some of that stuff that you're labeling. You don't know where it came from. Just forget about that stuff. That's crap. It's all irrelevant. And it's definitely irrelevant when you're doing your feedback session and when you're doing your remote viewing session. You disappear. Send anything having to do with that into the black hole during your cool down. In fact, don't even think about it. Just ignore it. And the feedback session is really for learning and be happy. I just didn't have time to find my happy Buddha, but I took a wonderful picture of a happy Buddha and I just loved it. And we're just blessed to be in this life and to be taking on this cutting edge challenge that we're all in the middle of. And just enjoy it. And when you finish your feedback session, move on. So, you know, we have people like this. Whatever your excuse is, it's time to stop believing it. I love that. Okay. Let's begin to transition now into doing another session. So I happen to be, I guess you guys can see me. I can't see my own camera for some reason, but I'm sort of shaking. This is what I do, stretching to get into a new mindset. So it's a transition. You've seen this picture. I hope you believe precognition begins with the feedback session. What we're about to do now is one target, which is associated with one coordinate. It is like the beacon for that feedback target. And and it's going to be associated with either a yes or no, which again, you don't care too much about, because all you care about is describing and sketching your feedback target. And we need to get that coordinate, but before we do that, we've now taken off the feedback hat and beginning to put on our remote viewing hat. So this is a change of pace. It's a different mindset, different objectives. We do that thousands of times a day, and now we're getting ready to do remote viewing. I wanted to just summarize, we've been doing this now for quite a while. I don't know how many of these there are, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Looks like we have 13 predictions. This is going to be the 14th one. And so far, what we just finished was the feedback for the one miss we've had, which was the UCLA Kentucky miss. You know, let me get my cursor back. There we go. So this was the one miss, and we've had 4 hits. So I guess that's 80% hit rate. But again, even getting into thinking and stuff like that, that's fine. Intellectual, we're transitioning to our remote viewing. All of that stuff is irrelevant when you get into your remote viewing session. But the new prediction has to do with Apple. Will Apple price close above 150 during the period 4-4 through 5-4? Okay, so the 1 month period, I guess, starting yesterday. Now, this is a chart of the Apple stock showing since the beginning of the year. This is January. This was yesterday. So this is time scale. And these are prices. This is 140. This is 145. So 150, which we're asking, will it be above 150 within a month, is here. And what this shows is the, like, let's take this red. The fact that it's red said it was a down day from the open, which is the top of the red, to the close, which is the bottom of the red. And then I doubt if you can see it, but there's a little line that goes up which indicates the high of the day and the low of the day. And you can go to the finance.yahoo.com and get all kinds of information on all of the stocks and stuff like that. But Apple is something everybody knows about, and depending on the answer, you might even want to trade this. And we've talked separately about that. But you can see 150, it's in an uptrend. It might do it, or this might be the top. We don't know. But that's why it's a good question for precognition. Okay, so will the stock be above 150? Yes or no question. Binary always has 2 sides, as you know. We call those sides sometimes, depending on what we're doing, up or down, or it could be down or up. Turns out that's random. If we're doing sports, we do team A, team B, over, under. They can always be put into a yes-no equivalent, which is what we're doing. But we do not know. The computer decides if the order of these are yes, no, or no, yes. And again, all this is intellectually transitioning to do it. You don't have to worry about any of this. But the intellect is a part of you. I think the new paradigm shift is going to have this balance between the marvelous intellect we have and this marvelous intuition we have, which knows that time is much more mysterious than the intellect usually gives credit for. We have both of these. Okay. So we're now going to get ourselves ready, begin to set your intention. Right before I give you the cue, I just want to do give you the coordinate. I want to do a few more things. The cue is clear. Describe and or sketch your coordinate feedback target, period. At this point, what matters is that you set your intention very clearly on describing the feedback target, which is not this, but along with your remote viewing session, feel happy, smile, and that's an order. I mean, this is fun. If you're not enjoying spending time doing this, I really think you should do something else, because why not? you should be spending your time finding things and doing things that bring you as much deep satisfaction as you can, and enjoy it. Okay, so intention is really one of the keys here. You're intending to describe and sketch your feedback target. Simple as that. And when we do feedback session, as you know, you're actually carrying that intention, but you bring it with it, sort of forward-looking, knowing it's going to help you in the future. The other two words, one is expectation. As you do this, just encourage more and more positive expectation. We do that in spades at the feedback session, where you focus totally on all the good stuff, and you add stuff that you know and you expect is going to help you in future remote viewing sessions. So expectation, and doing it on purpose with, you know, oh, this is what I expect to happen, having all of that, passing that down to your subconscious, which understands concepts. I mean, that's most of the time what it's sharing with you are concepts, conceptual things. Images are really conceptual, shapes and stuff like that, colors, okay? And that's how you're communicating at this conceptual level. And then intention is the other one. And this is this really very famous and right-on conclusion that Joe McMonagle and Ed May did, which is that intention, attention, and expectation play a very important role in applications and research of remote viewing. Just so right on. So just keep that around with you. And the attention is on you. I mean, what could be more, and I don't mean this in an ego way, but it came to mind, what could be more interesting than your own deep inner self? I mean, that's kind of cool. This communication channel is how you can find out about your deep inner self. That's neat. This is a sheet which, for any newbies to remote viewing, I go over because it really summarizes what you're about to do. I'm going to get a coordinate. You'll write that on the top of a sheet of paper. You'll put your name, your date, and the time. We're using the coordinate as a beacon. Sometimes people use other beacons. But what I would like you to do for a beacon is say that coordinate out loud, and you'll be writing it here. And then at feedback time, you're going to say it out loud again, and you're going to trace over the writing of it both here, and you'll be writing it again here. So the line is preliminary stuff. When you start, you do the coordinate again, and you do kind of a squiggle. We call it an ideogram, a pictogram. It has information in it, which, again, your sub is communicating with you. And just put it down there. You can touch it. More information will come up. Usually early will come up things that are called gestalts. These are big picture items. Mountain, water, city, huge. They're usually one-worders, two-worders. You might get a picture of a gestalt type sketch, a big circle, whatever. It's just something usually comes up right away, which is big picture, and you might put it here, sketches, words, whatever. Then we leave other images that come up, and usually they're partial images, and you know, and you're receiving them from your subconscious. This is a good place in the middle. And then words, you might get textures, and people sometimes make their own, or I can happy to send any of you, just email me a copy of this kind of sheet. But you get textures, colors, smells, tastes, a sense of dimensions, geometry, sounds, is it dynamic, it's not dynamic, temperatures, hot, cold, and then aesthetic impact, aesthetic kind of feelings. I like this, I don't like this, and they might be aesthetic with your reaction, or they might be emotions going on at the site. If you can distinguish that, put that down. Whatever comes up from your subconscious, you ought to endeavor to put on the piece of paper. And then one way of looking at the training that's going on is to be able to distinguish what comes up from the subconscious. Russ Targ always likes to say surprises. You know, if it comes out of nowhere, you know, often memories do that. There's a trigger, and then suddenly stuff comes up like out of nowhere. Man, that stuff is gold. That's the stuff that all belongs here, because that came from the subconscious. But then there's other times when the intellect, you know, you're trying to minimize this, but you're a human being, and you'll get stuff from the intellect. That's called an analytical overlay. And if you have a sense of that, red and round and basketball comes to mind, and maybe you played basketball this morning or something like that. That might be in your intellect putting those two things together. You don't want to do intellectual inferences. You want to take raw information. And you can get a sense of that when it's coming from the subconscious, when it's an intellectual connection. So if you get the sense it's an intellectual connection, you put it down over here. Often the big picture things, you know, you might draw something that looks triangular, and then you say Eiffel Tower. You know, that's an AOL. The thing about AOLs is every now and then they're right. But so you put them down as an AOL. Okay. Again, this is something I can send you. The kind of words that you get with all these different categories are, well, you know, you just sort of scan these and some will, you know, resonate with you. But you can see they're what I would call low-level words. They're not naming. They're really at the level of ideas. And that's the way the subconscious communicates. You know, sometimes they say it's the kind of stuff that you pick up as a kid, and sometimes you don't even have a name for it. But then you start getting names for these things at low levels. But this is the kind of thing that we do. Okay, how do I start? How do I get my coordinate? Let's do it. There's always a group manager. I'm that group manager here. And I have already set this up. I just have to find it. Okay, so I tasked the workshop. Okay, we're webinar workshop members right here. Here's the event. Generally, you will get this in your personal email, and then you would simply click here. And then you put in your email address. I'm using it as a representative for all of us, but you should know each of you, because of your unique email address, will get a unique feedback target for your unique coordinate. Now we're all going to work the same one coordinate. This is where you set one coordinate versus two. So we set it for one coordinate. Webinar workshop is marked, but each of you would have your unique coordinate, so you would have your unique target. This is a different environment, which actually has a lot of power to it because we're working together, and we're all working on one coordinate with one target. And when we do the feedback session, we'll be adding energy to that coordinate for that target. So then all you do is click here, and there's the coordinate. Okay, so at the top of your sheet of paper, you can now write, and you can even say it out loud now, though the time is most important is when you start your remote viewing session and you write it down. As you write it, say it out loud. 498783. We give advice here about starting when you feel ready. And I'm going to set you up, but then the next step, which we're going into now, is to do it. And then you need to upload it to the server. And then after we do that, we'll do the judging. But now let's get into the remote viewing stuff. So you now have the coordinate, which you wrote down, right? Make sure you've written it down on the top of your paper, 498783. Okay. So we click on the link. Now, one of the other, I think, very important insights I've had, now this one has come over really many, many years, ever since I've been trying to intellectually understand precognition, is that it is really connected ultimately to this thing called quantum foam. Sometimes it's called quantum vacuum, the zero-point energy field. And it's down at the level of what we might normally think is nothing in outer space. Between galaxies, you usually think of nothing. But no matter where you go, when you get very small, quantum mechanics has shown, and experiments have shown, and physicists who will not accept precognition will accept that there's a quantum reality at the level of the smallest stuff that you could call quantum foam. And it's very, very random, huge amounts of energy down there. It's sort of like at the deepest oceans, there's huge pressure, but it's very uniform. The subtle differences are what I believe cause life and all that sort of thing, but it's not something we can understand. It comes through in some sort of coded way. But notice, in your body, turns out neutrinos are the smallest mass object in the physical world. You're much larger than that, and even your DNA and your trillions of cells, in each part of the DNA, it's connected to this quantum foam. And this, in the physical world, is my belief that is what is now connected to the non-physical world. Perhaps we can even call it the world of the spirit, where the non-physical is around outside of space and time. It's the non-physical that has the information about the future, and I believe it shares it through this quantum foam. Now think about your body. You have 30 trillion cells, give or take a few trillion, of individual cells that have the unique vibration of your DNA. All that connected through this quantum foam. Now, if you get a sense of that and the information coming up through your body, through the quantum foam, connecting your remote viewing session with the vibrations of your DNA, with those same vibrations at the feedback session. This is how I believe it actually works. Okay, so just sort of maybe get a sense of that. And now what we're going to do is cool down. We get rid of everything else, and however your subconscious does it, you're going to want to receive information from it and put it on your remote viewing session. And take some time to do the cool down. Joe McMonagle actually believes that he calls that 75% of the discipline, because that's getting the connection, opening up that communication channel with your future self, with your future feedback target, with the future feedback target session. So what we'll do now is do it yourself. Many of you have been around long enough. You have your own approach. I do have a video which takes a minute and a half intellectual and then 8.5 minutes of hemi-sync. Let me put that in the chat box. Here, I can put this in the chat box. So you're welcome to use this. But what we'll do now is take 10 minutes of quiet time and do your transcripts. Okay, so I'm actually going to start this for myself, and it ends in 10 minutes, and I will talk to you then. Have fun.
Follow that idea a little further, you'll find that through this, that nothing is really something. I'll wait while you process that last sentence. Nothing is really something. So let's see what that means. We'll start by taking this box, which is filled with air. The next step is to take all the air out of it, shield it so there are no external energy fields seeping into it. There's nothing inside. Surely it's empty, right? Let's start zooming in. Maestro, can you zoom a bit? Nope, not seeing anything. Maybe a little more? This isn't getting us anywhere. Time to pull out the big guns. Maestro, you do the quantum loop. The image you're seeing gives you an idea of the smallest quantum reality. The flickering colors represent the constant creation and destruction of matter. Electrons, antimatter, quarks, and antimatter. They are created from nothing and disappear back into nothing. We can see that when we look at what is going on at the smallest and most quantum scales, empty space is actually extremely busy. Scientists have a name for these effervescent subatomic objects. They're called virtual particles. There are lots of other ways to visualize this, but one way is to think
Okay, come on back to your normal state now. Yeah, stretch a little. Right, feel where you are. Back here, physical world stuff. I hope you enjoyed your remote viewing session. We'll now get back into some intellectual stuff. Okay. And that's the next phase. Really has nothing to do with the remote viewing feedback connection except in an intellectual way. And it may very well lead you to make decisions on how to wager in the other applications of remote viewing targets. You might have to decide to put in a lot of energy. So the analysis judging is where you make judgments about how you want to use the information concerning the target. So this is where the yes-no prediction is made. And it's based, of course, on the match between the two. What I'd like to do is now summarize the judging system that we use. There are many different ones. This was one developed by Russell Targ, one of the guys who's the originator with Hal Puthoff of really what's called remote viewing. Ingo Swann and that group going way back to the 1970s. And he came up with a scale like this, which 0, no correspondence, 1, little. 2 is where basically you would say, you know, this is basically chance. Just by chance, I really expect to get some matches. The fact of the matter is getting no correspondence turns out to be rare. There's usually some elements of one sort or another. Okay, so that's a 2. A 3, you're now saying there's enough correct, there's a mixture of correct and incorrect, but enough of the correct elements that you made psychic contact with the target. So that would be a 3, but that's right on the margin. A 4 is good correspondence. Now you've got several matchable elements and, you know, good correspondence, not just marginal. You feel pretty good about it, and you're now willing to say that you did really make contact with the target using your precog ability. So you got the information from the correct feedback target and not from anywhere else. And there's still, of course, some incorrect information. A 5 gets up to this level of unambiguous, unique, matchable elements. The word unambiguous in this context has some ambiguity associated with it, but nevertheless you can see he's up the ante here. You need to be able to say that this was really very good. It's like unambiguously connected to the photo that you're judging it against, the photo site that you're judging it against, and there's some unique matchable elements in there. And then 6 and 7 bring in the analytical overlay, analytical information, the naming. 6, you've named it, plus you've got the 5, so it's better than 5. You've got all of 5, plus now you've named it, and still little, maybe some incorrect information, and a 7 is spot on. Okay. You need to give yourself the recognition of the reality that at least for now, you're not perfect, okay? God is not done with you. You're not done making your communication channel as large as it will be in the future. In fact, I think that's something which will continually grow. And so here's an example of where a skeptic challenged a remote viewer, and a remote viewer says inside the envelope is a charcoal drawing of a woodchuck eating a small orange. And of course the skeptic says it has to be 100% right. Nice try, you little fraud, but that's a long way from an ink drawing of a beaver eating a tangerine. You don't even have to get as close to an orange, to a tangerine, you know, tasty, stuff like that. If there's an orange in there, I think you understand that you give yourself good credit because there's lots of analogies. You're going to be learning about how your communication channel works. So what I'd like you to do now is judge your transcript, but first we need to now find out what the two choices are. So let me do that by putting in a dummy. Notice you would use either a scanned version or most people nowadays are using a smartphone and taking a picture and getting it on their computer. And just like I put in this dummy by searching my own computer, then you click browse, and once this is filled in, I'm going to click submit. You're wearing your judge's hat. You're about now to see the two possible targets. Okay, we don't know. The computer will randomly choose them and randomly associate one with yes and the other with no. We do not know. You as a judge, your job now is simply to match the transcript, there you go, to either photo site A or photo site B using that TARG scale. And let me see if I can get that on with the two pictures. I want the pictures to be large. Okay. And then in the chat box, simply put A and then a number between 0 and 7, and B a number between 0 and 7. And then I finish off the judging for the group by filling in this and this. And that's what you would do. So the protocol itself in terms of the mechanics is really very simple. So now do your judging, photo site A, photo site B, and give me the CRs. And you saw the way some people did it. That is the way I encourage, which is to mark every element that came up and mark it with either a different color for A or B, or you could put an A or a B next to it, and if it matches both, you put AB. And if it matches neither, you just leave it blank. Okay, so let me get the TARG scale. Okay, there you go. Okay, very good. Thank you, Richard, and all of you. Just do these, of course, totally independently. And I'm now going to keep a table of your predictions. And then do, if you can, send me a copy of your transcript, and then we can all discuss it. And that is also part of my making the group prediction. So you'll learn how to do judging. Okay, if you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask. The judging's largely intellectual, so you won't really be. But it takes focus, it takes attention. And there's some element of intuition in terms of analogies and things of that sort as your particular consciousness might work. Okay, I'm going to change. Okay. Be sure to send me a copy of your transcript, Evelyn.
Marty, where do we send the transcripts to?
Where do you put what?
Where do we send the transcripts?
First you need to get it to your computer, and then you send it to me. I'll put my email address in here for convenience. and
Oh,
then you
okay.
just attach it. Oh, you got it? Yeah. Right. Then you just attach it.
All right.
Okay, a couple more of you may be finishing up. I have 2, 4, 6. Let's go over to the emails now. And if you haven't finished, please finish. Do a good job. Okay, what time? Okay, so Richard, you were the first in. Let's take a look at yours. Okay, why don't you, let's see. I'm just trying to make that a little bigger. Okay, it's as big as it's going to get. Okay, I'm going to turn off my webcam. Okay, let's see, Richard. I have here that you gave, let me get rid of that. You gave A a 3.5 and
That's
a B
right.
a 0.
Yeah, that's it.
And let's, okay.
I'm just
obvious.
in the picture. I'm just trying to recreate me looking at like a cloudy, semi-solid grayness with an angular edge to it. First I thought it was like a waterfall, but then I thought no, it's more solid than that. So I was just trying to recreate the grayness I was looking at. Like I thought it was water because there's like a bit of a reflection in there for me. So that's why I was thinking about the glass. It does look similar to what I was looking in my mind's eye, to be honest. The glass is a little bit cloud-like and a bit watery with the shine. I didn't see anything could be in that at all.
And the shape, and the
I
shape.
I definitely got an angle.
Yes.
The further I went into it, the more I was getting to see like an edge.
Right.
Proper,
and here you
defined
got
edge.
waterfall. There's certainly a lot of water in here, but
No, I think the waterfall is to me. I was just trying to recreate this grayness.
right.
I just didn't see. I didn't see any other color. Just grey, really. Unfortunately for me, the crows are in the tree above me, and they're doing my head in.
Okay, very good. I understand that. That makes good sense. I can't quarrel. Notice when you get to the 3.5, you're basically saying, yep, I think I made psychic contact, but you're not super confident.
That's right.
Certainly that fits with the appropriate judging and everything, in my opinion. Okay, let's see who came in. Okay, I don't think we're going to have time to do all of these. So let me choose, and I'm only choosing them because, Lynn, I see you gave it a 1 and a 2. That says you don't feel you're on target.
Yeah, I might be a little bit more. We could take a quick look.
Okay, let's just do that, but we've already been 2 hours. Okay, I'll bite. Where did it go? Oh, it may still be trying to come up. It's a Word doc.
It should be a PDF.
Oh, it's a PDF. Oh, here it is. It came up on my other screen. Okay. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of got elements, I think, from both. And so for A, the visuals that I got were real rectangular.
Right.
But the rectangles seem to have things on them. And I thought it was like newspaper. And then I also got like this dark tunnel thing. I thought it was like a dark tunnel. And then for photosite B, I got like dangles, but I wrote lightweight dangles like yarn. Something was dangling. And then I got like fresh fruity smells and somewhat sweet smells, but not quite.
Yeah.
Something like that. So not a whole lot.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff which is off, which we didn't talk about, but if there's a lot of material which is off, that's an indicator that you might not be on target.
Yeah.
I would actually, just because the shapes are so good, and even see this shape here?
Yeah.
I see that here.
Yeah.
I would have given that higher.
A bigger one, yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily. I would have given A a higher number. Okay, just letting you know. And notice at feedback time, if it turns out to be this one, you're going to say, oh, look, I got that shape, right? And
yeah.
And so when you're judging, you should sort of think about how it might look at feedback time.
Yeah.
So anyway, that would be the only comment. Okay, good. And let me go to here again, and we'll do, okay, so there's John. You should look at the early version of the video of this, John, because I used your transcript. And bottom line, and this is so important, it was so good, it's almost like you did it so I could make the points I made. You actually did an excellent session on the correct target. You judged it wrong, in my humble opinion.
Okay.
And you'll actually see that if you go through the early part of the video. But for now, and that's what you're supposed to do during the feedback session, is make the best of it and see what you did, but yours were really obvious.
Okay.
And again, in my opinion, so much of this is personal. Let me get you back up here.
Yeah, this one was interesting because I kind of had a mix of both really, but there's a few words that I wrote down like grand and posh and rich and expensive that kind of made me lean towards the photo site A.
Okay, you know, the comments I made before was for the, not John Moore, I'm sorry, it's the other John.
Okay.
Sorry, so yeah, you were here, so you saw the other John, that was the very first one we did. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, let's go on. Yeah, you're saying, but I gave
PSA as a 4 and PSB as a 2.
Okay, and so let's take a look. You didn't mark it on here, but you
no, it hasn't come out very well. Basically, I've used a highlighter pen. I've used a pink one for PSA and a green one for PSB. So it looks like I've crossed things out. But what you've basically got is PSA. You've got words like glossy, strand, silky, smooth, twisting,
caramel, gold, rich, expensive, grand, posh. The smell's subtle. Perspective is close. Environment is staged, safe, laboratory clean, boxed. Again, the box was one that brought me to think that was a high-grade word.
Right.
Some of the dimensions were stripy. So again, it's the same kind of thing. I did have, obviously, there's mention of curves in there, which could go towards the grapes, and there was an air of food and an overwhelming feeling of like swirly and toffee, almost like one of those machines that makes toffee, you know, the kind of swirly ones. But it kind of is more to do with the browns, the caramels, the yellows that kind of brought me towards sorry, A.
Okay, I get that. Okay, very good. Okay, excellent, excellent. Let me jump down. Let's see, Judy. Okay, I don't have you in my, I must have missed your CRs, Judy. Why don't you give them to me now? Okay, wait, or I can look them up, but they must have come in late in the chat box.
Okay, this is Judy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, Judy. That's good. Good.
Oh, perfect.
What were you? Yeah, what were they?
I put down A for 3.0. I felt that there were some correct and enough to show that I had a psychic contact with it. So I put down 3.0 for A. And for B, I put down 2.5, but looking at that, I think it's probably more like a 2.
Okay.
I think it was just a little more than chance, but
I'm going to put it 2.25.
Wait, what I saw with that was with A, I just felt like desert-like, dry, tan. I saw some like blue and green, something prickly. My hands, my palms felt alive, like my hand chakras had opened up. My ears felt pressure within. I came up with the word gaseous. And I also saw a hill-like, so I drew an image of a hill, and it looks like that replicated one of the curves on A, the box, and it also, I was thinking that with the grapes, possibly if they're, there you go.
All right. Okay, but the circles, of course, look like the shape of the grapes.
Right. But I felt that they were filled with gas. So for the shape, I gave it for the grapes, and then for the gaseous aspect, I gave that put that towards the box itself. And I felt space, graceful, slow movement, starry, like just a lot of like pinpoints of light. And I was thinking that and also some indentations, a lot of little dots. And I put that's in the middle of the page. That's where it is. And I was thinking that could be the stones at the bottom of the box, or possibly the grape. It's probably stretching it, but the grapes, looking at a distance, the grapes.
Multiples. So one of the things that people get are multiples sometimes, even though they don't always get the exact number. And I'm thinking it could be even the seeds inside the grapes. I don't know if those are seedless. I just share what comes to my mind. You know, that's why I let my consciousness bring things up. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Now, Evelyn happens to be very interesting because she gave me a 10. So Evelyn, can you turn on your mic? Because I need to understand whether you believe it was even above a 7, you know how we jokingly go above a 7 because 7 is supposed to be the max, or you judged a different way. So we need to clear that up.
Well, did I put 10 on there? Okay, that was things.
Right.
I had 10 things, and I gave it a 5.5.
Okay.
It could almost even be a 6 because I just kept seeing these shapes moving up and down, and that's why I thought they were changing you know, they were moving, but I kept seeing those shapes over and over again, going up and going down.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought of the word hat-like, so I put that over to the side. But if you look at the front of that thing, it does look like a hat. So that was a hit
Yes,
as
yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I felt like there was motion or turning. And you know something, if you look at that down in the middle there, that angle that's going straight out of the picture to the black angle from the wall behind,
Yeah.
it looks almost like a handle that you would turn to make something move. As soon as I saw that picture, I thought it was a handle, and I had to look twice to realize that that's just part of the wall behind the thing. But in my subconscious, I think I thought there was a handle there that made something move in that box.
Interesting.
But and the other thing was, when I wrote the numbers down, I wrote the second 8 backwards, backwards of the way I normally write.
Mm-hmm.
Actually forwards for you because I'm left-handed. And so then in the pictogram, I made an infinity sign, and I kept making it bigger and bigger.
Yeah, right.
And so the whole idea of the motion, I don't think it was for the grapes. I think it was for the idea that I thought this piece was in motion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got gray, geometric shapes, and mechanical, and cool. Now, the last word I wrote was oily, and that was after we were pretty much finished. And so that oily more would fit with the grapes, I think, but I was still thinking a machine, so that's why I wrote it. But actually, if you were oily and the changing shapes that I wrote in the center, I kind of felt like that could be either one. So I put a green and a yellow line on that one.
Mm-hmm.
But I really felt like those, you know, like that roof was changing.
Yep.
And it really is, if you look at it from different angles, those V's change.
Okay. And that's what you got during your remote viewing session. The one thing we have to always be careful not to do, that's why I like to keep us intellectual as much as possible, is you don't want to send information back from this session to your remote viewing session. So you want to keep it nice and low key. And that's fine. What you're saying is fine. That's what you got. And now you're saying, oh yeah, I can see that. And then you gave it credit. So that's fine. But generally when you do your judging, you don't want to make a super big thing out of everything, because then it becomes a potential attractor as opposed to the feedback target. Right?
Yeah.
So you're right. You understand the principle. And
well, the hat light thing, I kind of felt dumb, but I wrote it down. In fact, I didn't even spell it right. I wrote hat lick, if you see that.
No, and that's okay. Spelling doesn't count.
But if you look at that drawing from the front, it would look like the shape of a hat. So, you know, like a V-shaped hat. So anyway, that was just kind of funny, because I didn't realize till we were done that I hadn't, when I was doing the feedback, that I had spelled that wrong. It just kind of,
well, as I say, spelling, grammar, none of those things matter when you're doing the remote viewing session. All that matters is the information. So,
yes.
And you did that.
My feeling was expanding, and that's, you know, expanding in motion, and I think it was that handle that kind of, that thing that looks like a handle.
Go for that high score, but it makes sense. But as I say, don't get too much into it during the judging session. We've done enough with it.
Okay.
And thank you. Okay, Ramel. Let's see what you have here. You want to quickly describe it, and you usually do 2 pages. Yep.
Yeah, for the time that we are allowed, it seems like it's just 2 pages.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got A for like a 2.5 and B for a 4.
Right. I've got that in the table. Okay, good.
Yeah. The A, I can sense, like I see white, the pointed structure of it, which like down here on the first page, white below, it's pointed. I also got some like hard texture. And then well, there's a granite stone. There's a stone in there on A. On A as well, it's like a pocket of space. So this is pretty much a big pocket of space. And I think that's it, what I got from A that I can connect to. But in B, I got a lot of stuff. I
feel
first
like
one is yeah, the red is also very prominent. I wrote down on the second page, red. There's red descriptions there. But the black, white as well. I feel outside, fresh air, fresh smell, natural smell, cold, perhaps, since grapes usually thrive on cold weather, as well as pockets, like the two pockets in here. I felt that's really more connected to B than A, although there's some geographical, like the geometric reconnection of that to the windows.
Is it the word pockets, or is it the shape that you have?
The shape. There's like a pocket thing. But my description is I felt like there's a pocket, that there's a pocket of space for something, and I felt like if you look at the grapes, these are pockets of water, sweet water, or natural, like juicy water.
But this is, of course, a pocket too. But I see
you
put an A there, so
A and B as well.
Yeah.
And then there's like since about damp, I would think that these would be damp because of the that's what they thrive in.
No, I think damp definitely.
Nestled as well, as in hibernation. Like when they start getting ripe, they somehow there's a sense of hibernating in order to get more juices out, or to get them out. And there's hollowness to it, which connects with actually B as well. But I think the hollowness also connects to the A because it's hollow inside.
Yeah, you didn't put an A there, but obviously this is hollow. It may connect more with A than B. But your AOL's over here, getting a sense of coffee, at least coffee beans,
Yeah, or tea, yeah.
Food-like. Okay, and so you gave that a 4. Can't quarrel with that. Okay, good. Thank you. Let's see who else we have. Okay, Ramel. Lori. Yeah, you're going with the grapes. Okay. Let's see your thing there. And then we can do, we got, okay. You see, I'm running out of time. I really have to stop this pretty much after 11:30. So
That's okay. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
Okay.
I thought I solved those, and I gave A a 3.0 and a B a 3.5.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Talk a little bit. I'm putting that in my table. So also another point to make is when they're close, you just don't feel as confident, as a person wagering. Did you say A was 3.5 or B?
A was 3.0 and B was 3.5.
Okay.
Because my ideograms, I have natural, sky, and land, and that would go with the grapes.
Right. Okay.
I did name the several small shapes like stones I wrote, but that could also be the grapes. Right. And then the attractor was a boomerang-like, and then I drew a boomerang, so that's the shape. And it's also, the grapes are a heart shape. My aesthetic impact was I felt good there out in nature.
Okay. Let's let's go. I'm now looking. I see there were a couple more in here, and someone's got a 5. Okay, Lori, thank you. And one of the other points, when you're doing this on your own, and you get something like a 3 and a 3.5, in terms of taking action on it, you just get very careful. When the two numbers are close to each other, it reduces the confidence you have in going with the higher one, right? So I think that kind of makes sense. And
Okay.
right, so we've got Jerry Ford. I don't have you. Oh yeah, there you are, Jerry. Okay. Let's open up yours and then we'll do Donna.
I'm in shock I got anything.
Jerry, okay. This is Jerry, right?
Yeah.
And you gave it a 3 and a 5.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I just picked a number.
Well, but let's look at it quickly and see. Let's look at the 5. So a 5 says that you can make unambiguous matches. So let's see what you got here. What does that say?
Circles.
Well, that's certainly unambiguous. Yeah. Bubbles looks good. Ovals, all of that look match. And then, of course, in come squares. And we always wonder why. And during judging, you can use your intellect all you want. Ripples, yep. Yellowish, yeah, in the background and not in the other. Tan, gray. Fresh air, yep, outside. Cold, I don't know. This could be cold too, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you know that's cold.
I figure because it's like the psychology of color, the A is it has all cold color.
Warm color, cold colors, yeah. Got it, okay. That's good, and let your sub know that. That's why you meant, okay.
I'm a fiber artist, so.
Okay, vast. B, yeah, that goes with A. Ships, cruise line, lots of people.
Yeah, way off there.
Yeah, I would say the B is a little high. The geometry is very good. The color's good. I would like a little more before I gave it a 5. Okay. Before I said unambiguous. Oh, but
like I said, I don't know how to do. I didn't understand.
But please understand, and it's important for everybody to understand. It is subjective. Different people doing the exact same comparison are off by 1 regularly. In other words, if you had 5 people do it, someone would get a 5, someone would get a 4, someone might get a 3.5, someone might get a 4.5. You know what I'm saying? So you know how to do it as well as anybody, trust me. And I'm giving you a little feedback that a 5 is a little high, but as you do more and more of these, and as you see with the B of a 5, you would expect, a good, most of the time, to get a hit. When you give a 5, you feel you really made good psychic contact with the feedback target, and so you'd expect to get a hit most of the time. Nobody's 100%. And so as you get more and more experience and look at your history, you'll get to see. Okay.
I think she's got some of her colors mismarked because A is not orange. A would orange would be B, and gray is in A more than it is in B.
Right.
So and the ovals are in both. So I think that you might want to redo this and be a little more generous with what you're assigning things to, because some of those are in both pictures.
I think I just got so excited that I saw anything at all.
Well, that's wonderful, and that's beautiful, because you indeed know there is a communication channel between you and your subconscious, your consciousness, maybe through a quantum foam. Okay, so that was Lori's, and I think there was one left. Donna. Okay, and Donna, do I have your CRs here? I do, a 2 and a 4.5. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is show the table. So you want to talk about it, Donna, or let me open up.
I can do it really fast. I know you want to get out. So initially the gestalt was a circle with maybe some lines going through it.
Yep.
But circles kept coming back to me, and they were bright purple with green around them. So really I felt like when I saw the pictures that B was what I was seeing. But in the middle there, I was seeing little smooth rocks and this dark purple or black, which was, I think, the lines on the arch lines on there, because I put arch too. But really what I was seeing mostly was something outside, circular with the initial shape. If you see that cone I had, I was getting the big picture cone shape. So B really resonated with me.
Yeah. Okay. And that's good. And especially, and this isn't always true for everybody, and even anybody all the time, but the fact that you got that first, that was the kind of stuff that popped first.
Yep, the circle and then the two colors were right there.
And that's, often what comes first is often the strongest. But again, not all the time. Nothing's all the time, and you have to learn about yourself and the feelings of it. But, the way you described it with your feelings sounded pretty good to me. So I would not quarrel at all with your 2 and 4.5. Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Let me bring over. I think we got everybody, right? We sort of made time for that. Wait, I think I have this open already. I just want to make, no, I may have closed it. Okay. Let's now do this. So hopefully the numbers here are correct. You should check your own. And what I'm going to do now as a group judge, now remember, you individually can, and this...
My numbers aren't right.
Yeah, that was a 5, right?
It should be a 5.5 and basically a 1.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was the number of elements you put in. That's fine. I understand that. No problem. Okay, now the way I typically go about this is I mark everything which the person felt was wagerable as one factor which I take into account. Remember, I'm making the group prediction. It happens to be, are you ready for this? The least important thing that's gone on here. And yet you sort of have to do it for the system. I mean, you got a bunch of people doing things, and so you might as well say which way are they leaning if they are leaning one way or another. Or I pass. What matters is your person. What matters is your, I'm sorry, did I get something wrong?
I was going to say we were changing that mine, this is Jerry, down to a 4. Or a 3.
Okay, who's?
The one at the bottom.
Okay, Jerry. Oh, from a 5 to a 4. Okay, good. Good, and that's important because I do tend to like this 5.5, which we looked at and it seemed reasonable. You get a little bit more, I give a little bit more weight to, but here I've got a 4.5, and here I've got a 4 and another 4 and a 3.5, and here I've got a 5.5 and a 4. This is a tough call.
Can you?
This is
Lynn. Can you change my A to? Can you bump it up to like a 2 or a 3? Because I feel I had the tunnel and I had the squares and the yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Right, but that doesn't change my quandary, though. 1, 2, 3.
Marty, the 3 and the 4, they at the bottom, they're too close to the other one, though.
Right.
Doesn't that make them a toss-up?
And this one is too close as well. So I have a 4 here. So let's say this one is a strong enough to put a B next to and say, yeah, a strong B. This is a strong B. 3.5 isn't strong, but this is certainly a strong A, and this is a strong enough A. Well, you know, one of the lessons I've learned many, many years ago is you can't be afraid to pass. And I think you'll agree, you know, looking at this, that the prediction has to be a pass. And as I say, what I do is the least, this step is the least important, is what we call a group pass. And you understand why. You know, I'm ignoring these two. 3.5 certainly leans towards A strongly, but even if I put an A there for it, it's 3-2, which is pretty close. Yeah. I do also like to say which way it's leaning. I would say it's, I'll make this a little A. Okay, I'm going to say group pass leaning toward A. Leaning toward A, okay. Photo site A, just to be a little bit more correct. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So to do that here, since the scores are high, the way I get a pass is I have to make these the same. So I'm going to make these both 4s. I don't know how many of you play bridge, but there's like a whole communication system here. These CRs are a communication system, right? You've told us how strong you feel. And here I'm saying it's a pass, but the fact that they're up at the level of 4 said they were good sessions on both sides. And then just because I like to copy and paste, let me do this. Leaning towards photo site A. Okay. So again, as a user, you know, we went through a lot of stuff here, but if you just think of your judging, you'd put in your numbers, put in whatever words you felt were appropriate here, and then you do submit. And now for the first time, see, this says it's a pass. Okay, and this says that coordinate 4798, right? Photosite A was randomly associated with no, and photosite B was associated with yes. We said we're leaning towards A, so we're leaning okay, so let's so we're leaning toward no, and that's it. So we've made our prediction. I'll save this. Okay, so you understand what happened, right? So we did make a prediction. Each of you now know if you were leaning towards A and you were leaning towards no, or if you were strongly towards A, you know, you would say this is a no, this was a no. Donna, yes, and these two, you know, leaning towards B, yes, but you know, not strongly. And if
Marty,
anybody,
can I ask a question?
please, yeah.
If we were going to do 2 sessions, would we just flip these 2 photos and then B would be A and A would be B?
The computer does that automatically. It's exactly right. In other words,
so we would see these 2 photos and we would do another session, but it would be these same 2 photos that we would see after the feedback time.
And what would happen with the second coordinate, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the second coordinate was, it would say here that second coordinate was randomly associated with yes, and photosite B was associated with no. That's the flip. And that's why you can get good hits on both of them, because each photo will be associated appropriately with its coordinate. So you can get, and that's what you'd like, is to get 2 yeses or 2 nos. And you can do that by describing the different, it's so hard to say in words, and yet it's just by flipping it, you're in good shape to get 2 good feedback targets, 1 for each photo.
Okay.
Okay? So, and the computer does it all. You don't have to worry about it. In other words, you're then going to get the other coordinate and you're going to judge it, and when it works right, you'll get 2 good
So
ones.
if we had done 2 sessions, like those of us that got leaning towards A, would we have drawn the grapes then probably?
For the second coordinate, absolutely. Exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly
what I needed
right.
to get in my head.
And you see, so when you're doing your remote viewing session, there are 2 entirely different targets.
Right.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it takes a while to get that deep, but anyway, that's the way it is. Okay, so let me now. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is just finish this off, emphasizing consciousness is the fundamental thing. That's why you just don't want to get hung up with the intellectual too much, especially during your remote viewing and feedback sessions. Forget all that. The stuff is coming, the information is coming from your unconscious mind. And the guy who wrote this article basically said we have no idea how conscious experience arises from the blob of matter that weighs 3 pounds. It's really still very much a mystery. And if consciousness is fundamental, as I believe and suggest, you're never going to come up with a really good model. All you can do is try to learn about it from what it does, but you can't explain it from everything else since it's the most fundamental. And this idea of precognition clearly comes from this consciousness realm, and it seems to come from outside physical space and time, and I'm suggesting this quantum foam model is where that connection occurs. And once you accept that you can get outside of the kind of physical world, space and time, I really believe, and you can intend to make this happen more and more, that the information is coming from a wiser, loving future you. And every time you do a feedback session, add a little bit to that wiser, loving future you to make it so. That's so important. And you can do that. Okay? Your beliefs, your ideas, your emotions are what you are. And you get to create all that. It's rather marvelous, actually. Okay, so I like this as my final graph. Any questions or comments from here? I'm more than and you know, thank you, Donna. You know, I'm glad that you were all here, because if you weren't, I couldn't do this, as you have probably picked up, as a real passion of mine. I've always liked to work cutting edge stuff. I did that as a standard physicist, and right now the world of consciousness and precognition is right at the edge of the paradigm shift that I see coming, so I'm real excited to be working on it. Okay, if there are no more questions and comments, I'll end this now, and thank you all very much. And do keep precogging.